Hi guys, so I'm just sitting here looking at a few different articles about Prince Harry's lawsuit against Murdoch's UK group, which is apparently moving to its trial. As many other plaintiffs have settled, Harry is holding out. But before I address that, I also stumbled upon an article in Byline Times published about a year ago that I completely missed, revealed the emails behind the royal cash for leaks affair, detailed but anonymous testimony from insiders at The Sun sat at the heart of cash for leaks allegations involving a royal officer and the newspaper's former top editor, Dan Wooten. Now, Byline Times can publish the details for the first time. Did you guys know about this? This was last December. How did I miss this? Or did I cover this? I didn't cover this. I don't think I covered this. It says here, um, the newspaper has received credible intelligence to suggest the three worked. Well, let me start over. A series of anonymous emails blowing the whistle on payments by the Sun to the partner of a senior royal aide were written by three former colleagues of the controversial journalist Dan Wooten, a Byline Times investigation can reveal. Anonymous emails were written by Dan Wooten, or written by three former colleagues of Dan Wooten. Okay, so the anonymous email was written by Dan Wooten's colleagues. Okay, this newspaper has received credible evidence to suggest the three worked together to inform on the Murdoch tabloid's former executive editor as they feared a cover up by publisher News UK if they did not. To protect themselves from exposure, the colleagues went to extraordinary lengths to cover their tracks after reaching out to Scotland Yard, Buckingham Palace lawyers, and retired Guardian journalist Nick Davies. Did you guys read this? And why did you guys not tell me about all of this? I didn't read this. I never saw this before. How does this connect to Harry's lawsuit that's coming up in January, if at all? Byline Times will not be identifying them as a matter of journalistic source protection. Okay, however, it can be revealed they presented themselves as being a temporary worker and a friend of a junior news administrator with access to the Sun's editorial payment systems. They acted following the publication of two stories about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their son Archie in June and July 2019, and the subsequent discovery of payments totaling £4,000 to a publicist whose partner is Prince William's former press officer, Christian Jones. Now, I'm sure if I ask Brian over at Sussex Family TV, he knows all this stuff. But I mean, who's Christian Jones and da da da? But I mean, this is the first I'm hearing about any of this, you guys. For the first thing, which tells you that I'm not an expert on any of this. I'm just, I just talk as I go. Okay, you have to go to Brian and people like that for the details. But so for the first time, the newspaper is reproducing some of the emails as content. Part of them reads, if a journalist, I guess that would be Wooten, is using someone's partner to pay Prince William's PR for information about his own brother and sister-in-law, that shouldn't happen. Wow. So Dan Wooten was paying someone's partner to get information on Harry and Meghan. Wow. They add, someone in editorial started questioning why stories that weren't on the front page were getting thousands of pounds in fees. Does this all have to do with why Dan Wooten is no longer with the Sun? My friend says someone saw a string of payments within a few weeks of the publicist Jones's partner about royals and then asked who this person was. They couldn't understand why a showbiz PR would have that kind of knowledge. The insider information was later handed to Neil Basu, the former Met Police Assistant Commissioner overseeing counter-terrorism at the time, and led to 2 internal inquiries at Buckingham Palace, you guys. News UK denies making any unlawful payments to third parties, and Jones and his partner say they did not provide private information about the Sussexes to The Sun. Byline Times has sourced its own copies of the email, which were first addressed to Nick Davies in spring 2020. Oh my God, this gets more and more like oh my God, this is oh my God, right? Davis, whose investigations for The Guardian exposed the phone hacking scandal at the News of the World, leading to that newspaper's closure in 2011 and a major Old Bailey trial, confirmed his role in passing on the anonymous communications to relevant third parties. Quote, I am retired, but I still get approached with stories 2 or 3 times a week and have to say no to them, end quote, he said. Quote, but this email was clearly important. There was a clear public interest if there had been misfeasance by a public official. It was important, and there was clearly a chance that what was being said was true, so I boosted it into the hands of people with power, end quote. First, Davies reached out to lawyers for the Duke of Sussex, who also passed the information on to Neil Basu. I was in the middle, and I admitted I had no idea if what that email said was true. Davies added, it was detailed information, but the truth was not clear. The police needed some kind of evidence to put before a judge to get a warrant to go to Buckingham Palace and search Christian Jones's records and those at The Sun. They needed to meet the source to get a sworn statement or some other form of sworn evidence. I urged them, the anonymous whistleblower, to meet the police, who were willing to do so off the record, but the source would not come forward. The information in the emails was so detailed and credible, however, that it prompted the Duke of Sussex to explore a civil lawsuit with a formal letter before action to The Sun. The information they contained centered on the appropriateness of payments going to the partner of someone acting in an official capacity for the royal family. Wow, you guys. The emails. Byline Times can reproduce parts of the emails, which went on to have such wide-reaching ramifications. Posing as the Sun worker's friend, the authors wrote to Davies, I understand you are now retired from journalism. Perhaps if this is not of interest to you directly, you might wish to pass it on to someone capable if you think it worthwhile. I have no wish to be involved because I would fear for the safety and well-being of my loved ones. You played a pivotal role in exposing wrongdoing at News International. The company now News UK claims to be the cleanest media company in the world. It is not. I will give you one example. See where it leads. End quote. The emails claim to be from a News UK worker who, during a brief period of employment there, had access to payment systems used by editorial teams and had knowledge of internal legal compliance protocols. The worker, it was claimed, had maintained a friendship with a second whistleblower at the tabloid. One email went on, quote, everyone there now has to undergo strict training to avoid corrupt payments, but at The Sun, they are circumventing this. I know this because there is one case involving one of the top editors, Dan Wooten, that has been hushed up. Oh, wow. The email continued. The impression my friend gave is that only a few people within The Sun know about it. They've told me before that when the connection was made between Christian Jones's partner, the publicist, and Jones, there was a real sense of panic because Wooten is so powerful within that office. He deals directly with Chief Executive Rebecca Brooks on stories sometimes. He has his own radio show, and he's forced out a lot of people as he's moved up through the organization. He's tried and succeeded to get people sacked. He's that powerful. Oh, wow. But he's not there anymore. Explaining the situation, the emails continued. Dan Wooten is a showbiz journalist, but in the last year or so, if you check, you will see he has written a number of stories about the royal family. There were concerns raised internally last year over a number of payments he made, totaling thousands of pounds to a freelance PR. If you look on Google, the publicist worked for a number of showbiz PR firms, so perhaps not a big deal. The reason concerns were flagged was because Wooten suddenly began paying the publicist thousands of pounds for royal stories starting on or around 15 July last year, 2019. It went on. These began with large payments of 3,000 upward for single stories about the Duchess of Sussex that only someone very close to them could know about. The information was very detailed and questions were asked very discreetly internally about why the amounts paid were suddenly so high, about sorry about that. The information was very detailed and questions were asked very discreetly internally about why the amounts paid were suddenly so high, about stories possibly involving public officials, which is a big red flag at News UK now. The answer, it was quickly established, was that the publicist is the partner of William and Kate's press secretary, Christian Jones. Whoa. The email went on, by the company's own updated rules, any suspicion of a payment to a public official should be flagged up immediately to lawyers. The reason I'm contacting you is that this didn't happen. I have no reason why, although given the seniority of the journalist and the panic it would cause internally, perhaps this is sufficient explanation. Only a handful of people had direct knowledge of it, and I'm not sure Dan Wooten was even confronted about it. I don't know the journalist personally, but it really angers me that good people, secretaries even, lost jobs on the news of the world, and here we are again, possibly, and it has not even been looked into. The email goes on. Quote, after I left, I heard someone involved was so angry they had emailed a Mr. Basu at Scotland Yard last December about it, and possibly even a royal servant called Gerard Tyrrell, the royal family's lawyer, to tip them off. All I know is the publicist is on the Sun's payment system under a ZC contributor member, paid lots of money by Dan Wooten. I know that much. The paper trail is there if someone wants to find it. It seems rotten to me. I hope this is of interest. In a subsequent email, this whistleblowers confirmed the detail of the publicist contributor code. I think the publicist's ZC number is ZC634 ... Byline Times redacted. My friend thinks there was a payment for 3,000 made around the 15th of July last year for a story about the Duchess of Sussex and her nannies, which was published on 28 June. There was also a payment of 1,000 made for a story about godparents for Meghan's son. I don't have any more details, and I don't know if I can get any more without arousing suspicion for my friend. Oh, wow. Is that why Dan Wooten is not at the Sun anymore, you guys? I missed the whole thing. The informants went on to talk about internal compliance policies intended to protect News UK from Operation Elveden type scandals and bribery allegations. I don't know what that is. Since Elveden, which closed down in 2016, News UK has upgraded its internal compliance systems to flag suspicious payments to serving public officials with a self-certifying system based around e-learning modules. The email added, quote, this is used for every new contributor the company pays like a source. It's a single sheet and has a box on it which asks the journalist to tick yes, no, whether the person is a public official. Oh, wow. So there's some kind of rule or law about public officials in the UK. Byline Times, they can't be sources apparently, right? Byline Times understands that the New York HQ of parent company News Corporation could be alerted to red flags. It followed the creation in 2011 of a management standards committee, one of whose first jobs was to assist UK police and act as assisting suspects in the Alvedon probe and hand over evidence against employees in order to avoid corporate charges which could have infringed the U.S. Federal Corrupt Practices Act, with the potential to impact directly on owner Rupert Murdoch. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, you guys. It's a lot, isn't it? It's so, I think it has this must be what the case is all about. I just wasn't following you guys. The email went on. People internally on editorial started getting suspicious about the scale of the payments made by Wooten, looked at it. Someone did some research and found the connection between Jones and his partner, presented it to the same senior execs, who then recoiled in horror at what had been found and stuck their heads in the sand without taking it further. It added, basically, they said, yep. Anyway, let's move on. It's a great story by Dan. I don't think there's any desire to push for it to be investigated. I think the view internally is to let sleeping dogs lie and hope no one ever makes the connection independently. Byline Times put a series of detailed questions to a lawyer for the royal family, a spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Dan Wooten, Christian Jones, Jones's partner, and Simon Case. The allegations about payments were put to the News UK in 2020 by Byline Investigates, the sister website for Byline Times. First revealed payments were made. News UK threatened to sue in order to stifle publication. The identities of the senior executives said to have known about the connection between Christian Jones and his partner are not known, and the extent that News UK management know that this happened, if at all, is unclear. Wow, you guys. Wow, you guys. So let me ask you this question. So this lawsuit against UK, against Murdoch, that has been moved to January, does this have to do with it? What does it say here? Reuters. Prince Harry will pursue his lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch's newspaper over alleged unlawful activities by journalists and private investigators, despite dozens of others settling their cases, his lawyer said on Friday. Harry, 40, the younger son of King Charles, is suing the publisher of The Sun and the now-defunct News of the World at the High Court in London, alleging NGN unlawfully obtained private information about him from 1996 until 2011. So no, it can't be the same thing, because that was later. His case was one of about 40 lawsuits against NGN, but all but one other litigant, former Labour Party deputy leader Tom Watson, have now settled. Those who have agreed to settle, including Spice Girl Melanie Brown, former BBC executive Alan Yentom, etc., 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 David Beckham. Oh, okay. An NGN spokesperson said, in some disputed cases, it has made commercial sense to come to a settlement agreement before trial to bring a resolution to the matter. As we reach the tail end of the litigation, NGN is drawing a line under the disputed matters. Harry's lawyers applied on Friday for NGN to search for emails between senior executives at News Corp, including Chief Executive Robert Thomson and royal staff. Wow. Harry wants to totally expose these people. Oh my God, he wants to totally expose his family, William and Kate, all of them. At a hearing last year, Harry's lawyer said the late Queen Elizabeth knew NGN had been spying on her family and their friends and authorized her staff to seek a resolution. The prince's legal team said his brother William, the heir to the throne, settled the case against NGN, the British newspaper arm of News Corp, in 2020. On Friday, Sherborne cited an email from a lawyer to Harry in 2018 in response to Harry's request for an update on discussions, which stated the ball is with Murdoch. Harry asked the court to order NGN to search for emails sent between royal staff and executives, including Thomson and Rebecca Brooks, head of Murdoch's UK subsidiary. Judge Timothy Fancourt ruled that NGN should provide some further documents, including any proposal by News Corp that was sent to royal staff. Fancourt also quoted from documents recently filed by Harry's lawyers, which said Harry will argue at trial that his father acted to discourage and stymie him from suing NGN. A trial of Harry and Watson's case is listed for January, though Sherborne has previously said claimants could be forced to settle because they could be left with huge legal bills if they rejected a settlement offer, even if they won at trial. He made the remarks after British actor Hugh Grant reluctantly settled his case in April. NGN has never faced a trial of a lawsuit relating to the phone hacking scandal, which emerged more than a decade ago and prompted a public inquiry and several criminal prosecutions. Wow, you guys, it's very, very convoluted and very, very confusing in some ways, because on the one hand, it says that Harry's suing about them spying on him or unlawfully obtaining information from 1996 until 2011. That's well before he met Meghan. But then we're talking about a settlement that William had in 2020 and spying that was going on, as we saw in the Byline Times article, in 2019, in 2020, when the Sussexes were still in the UK, so they're two different time frames here that leaves me a little bit confused about the whole thing, although it all seems to be connected somehow, actually. And but yeah, I'm sure you guys have a much better grasp of this whole thing than I do. But that's the update for today. Harry's case is going ahead in January against Rupert Murdoch, and I guess Dan Wooten might be involved in it somehow. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same case, right? And yeah, wow, wow. I mean, good for Harry that he doesn't back down. This is a principled man, and I really respect that. I really, really do. Anyway, you guys, see you in the next one. This is a long one. Take care. Bye. Do subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you keep up to my updates. Keep up with my updates. And have yourself a nice day. Have yourself a nice day, you guys. Take care. Bye.